Ground beef fried rice, anyone? Our recipe starts off with some ground sirloin that has been pre-seasoned overnight. I have my wok oil, some grapeseed oil, and low sodium soy sauce. I have my bean sprouts, some mixed vegetables, my hoisin sauce, minced garlic. I have a little piece of ginger here. I'm going to use about a half a teaspoon. And then I have my 3 green onions that has been washed. And of course, you're going to have to use at least 2 eggs. That's going to be scrambled. And the main ingredient, pre-cooked parboiled rice. It is the best rice to use for fried rice. So come on and watch me as I get this together. First, I'm going to start with cooking our ground beef. Now, my ground beef was seasoned last night with a little salt and pepper, and I added a little bit of bell peppers into it because I wanted a really good flavor. And plus, I'm only using about 1 pound of this ground beef, maybe a pound and a half, because the rest of the ground beef will be used for another dish. But I'm going to place this in the skillet and let this heat up. Next, I'm adding a little bit of my wok oil. My wok oil is going to give the ground beef a really good flavor because it doesn't have a lot of fat in it. And so I'm going to just use about a good 2 or 3 teaspoons of the wok oil. And as you can see, my ground sirloin is starting to really cook and get really, really pretty in that brown color that I'm looking for. After I have that all done, then I place my eggs in the skillet because I'm about to crack those and get them all nice and scrambled because fried rice do have scrambled eggs in it. And if you're better than I am, you want to make sure that you don't get any eggshells in it. But we're going to go ahead and just scramble these up real good. And then I'm also going to place these inside that same bowl where the ground beef is, just so that way we can have that resting on the side. And as my ground beef and eggs are resting, I am going to go ahead and heat up my pot here. And I'm going to place my pot on medium-high heat. And I want this to start heating up, and it's going to act as my wok. And then I'm going to add my oil. And remember, the wok oil that is used in this recipe is very concentrated, just like sesame seed oil. So I'm only going to use about a couple splashes of the wok oil because you don't want it to overpower the rice. And after I add my wok oil, then I add some of my grapeseed oil. The grapeseed oil is a lighter oil, but is very good for Asian dishes. Now I'm going to have my half cup of bean sprouts, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut up my ginger, and I'm only going to use about a half a teaspoon. And then I go ahead and I cut up my green onions, and I have 3 sprigs right here, so this is perfect for our fried rice. And I just cut them into some small pieces, and they're probably about 1/4 inch in size. After my oil has got really nice and hot in my pot, then I go ahead and I gather up my green onions and I just put them into the pot. I'm going to let them get all nice and hot and have the oil start incorporating around the green onion pieces. And then next I'm going to add my ginger along with about 1/4 teaspoon of minced garlic because we don't want the rice to be too garlicky. And after I add that, then I'm going to go ahead and just start mixing it all up on medium-high. Get this a nice stir. Get them all fully coated with the oil. Then I go ahead and I add my mixed vegetables. And let this all cook together as well. We want these to thaw out as much as possible. After my vegetables have been cooking for about a good 1 or 2 minutes, I go ahead and I add my bean sprouts that have been washed. And once I add my bean sprouts, I go ahead and I get my seasoning, which is salt, pepper, and a little sugar. For those of you who are watching your hypertension or your blood pressure, adding a pinch of sugar in the place of MSG seems to be a very good alternative, because I noticed in a lot of Asian dishes and in some of the recipes that I've seen, they always replace the MSG with a little sugar, and it does not alter the taste. It doesn't make it sweet or anything. It just gives it a nice balance to it. So I'll go ahead and mix that together. And as you can see, my vegetables are pretty much, they're starting to cook through really nicely. And I give that a good stir. And then I'll go ahead and I add my ground beef and my scrambled eggs. And I let that all incorporate together. And I'm going to mix the vegetables and the beef and eggs really well before I start adding that final ingredient touch. I get that mixed up. And then I go ahead and I grab the main ingredient. This is the fried rice. So we gotta have rice. And this is, like I said, about a good 4 cups of pre-cooked parboiled rice. My kids really like this dish. So instead of just doing 1 or 2 cups, I'll go ahead and cook 4 good cups of the parboiled rice, because my kids can eat off of it for like a day or 2. And it lasts really well in the refrigerator for about a good 2 days. So I go ahead and I mix this up really good. After I mix it, then I go ahead and I add my soy sauce. This is low sodium soy sauce. If you want to use the regular, you can. I'm just trying to cut back on some of the salt. And this is going to also help it have the brown coloring that we're looking for fried rice. After I add my soy sauce, I'm adding my hoisin sauce, which is going to also give it a bit of good flavor and kind of help with the browning color. And after I add about that 1/8 of a cup of hoisin sauce, I go ahead and give this a good mix and stir, and try to make sure I get every parts of the rice coated and covered. And as you can see, I noticed that part of my rice really wasn't brown enough, so I had to add a secret ingredient, which is blackstrap molasses. Yes, it is. And this is going to add that darker brown color you're looking for on your rice. And this is only about a good 2 tablespoons. Now you're wondering, blackstrap molasses, it has that little tang to it. It has that little sharpness to it. Well, it is not going to alter the flavor of this fried rice. It's mainly going to aid in that nice dark brown color, as you see that it is starting to turn already. And we're not adding a bunch. With the saltiness of the soy sauce, it's perfect. And if you are near an Asian market, you can actually buy the dark soy sauce that will make your brown rice turn that color. But because I'm not near one, the unsulfured blackstrap molasses is perfect touch. And as you can see, as I mix it all up, I got the right color that I was looking for my fried rice. And so now all it is time to do is just plate this. And I grabbed me a nice plate here, and I'm about to put a good helping tablespoon, or excuse me, more than a tablespoon, a good helping of a serving spoon on this plate. So if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, this is a nice alternative to your regular beef fried rice. You cook this at home, you know what you're getting. And if you want this full recipe, you can go to my Facebook page, Delicious Dishes and Desserts 9708. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening, and goodbye.